Well, good afternoon, Platinum Top 50. So excited to be going live with you today. Ashton Rue here, COO of Platinum Top 50, and excited to be with our folks in Austin in their partner Trendmaker Homes, really promoting their new community in New Braunfels, actually Meyer Ranch, and we've got a lot of great information about that. I know that several of you, this is not your first time on a Platinum Top 50 webinar, but again, from the bottom of my heart, from the rest of our team, we are just so thankful for the support that you give us to join and learn and become more educated with us so that we can all become more efficient, more effective business leaders, and that we can continue to just grow professionally and personally. We are so glad to be able to bring you this content. Today's event, like I mentioned, is brought to you by Trendmaker Homes. Love having builder partners that are excited to collaborate with us, and I'm going to be bringing on Mark Heidman. Mark is the Director of Sales and Marketing for Trendmaker Home in Austin, and so excited to have you, Mark. Thank you for being here with us.
Hey, thanks, Ashton. I want to thank you and the entire Platinum Top 50 team, as well as all the attendees for being here. I got to admit, I'm particularly looking forward to hearing Raul's presentation, as I know we're all big fans. I also wanted to just take the opportunity on the sponsorship to announce, as you mentioned, Trendmaker Homes' newest upcoming community that we're so excited about. It's Meyer Ranch in beautiful New Braunfels, Texas, as you just mentioned. This 700 plus acre, highly amenitized master plan community is nestled off of Texas 46 and Meyer Parkway. As I mentioned, it's highly amenitized. What you're seeing there on the screen is actually directly across from our two newest models that Thomas Aserios is going to talk to you about a little bit later. You know, it's an interesting community as it's both convenient within New Braunfels, yet in the Hill Country, but it's also only about an hour from downtown Austin and only 25 miles from downtown San Antonio. So extremely convenient location, very excited about it. And we're excited to bring our premium Trendmaker product to the most premium section in Meyer Ranch. In a little bit here, new home advisor Thomas Aserios that I just mentioned, that many of you guys know from Kyle and Six Creeks, our Six Creeks community. He'll be helping us kick off the grand opening in Meyer Ranch and get us started on the right foot, while Jen Hickman is also going to share a little bit as she's been heading our coming soon VIP and interest list with all of you great Platinum Top 50 realtors out there and your clients. We're excited about that, and without further ado, I'm going to kick it back over to Ashton, and thanks so much for the opportunity today.
Well, you know, it's really exciting with everything that's going on in the world around us. I mean, to hear businesses that are thriving, to hear the way that you're opening a new community in the midst of all of this, and I know that that's not easy. You know, it's really hard to get people in the doors, but I love that we have this platform that we can share a little bit more to give everybody a sneak peek to what they can expect. And I also love that this particular community, as San Antonio grows outwards and Austin continues to move further south, that, you know, we've got Meyer Ranch that probably appeals to, you know, both markets of agents. And I really think that that's unique, especially for our program.
No, absolutely. And Ashton, you bring up a great point. And, you know, although we're a home builder, the way we're able to do all these things, we're a people, you know, we're a people first team, both as a home builder. And so it's folks like Thomas and Jen that allow us to, you know, push through things like this, you know, pandemic and still maintain, you know, building homes for great folks, realtors and buyers alike. And just similar to you and your team with Amber over at PT50, you continue to put on these type of events and having great speakers like Raul. So, you know, we're surrounded by great people, and we appreciate the partnership.
Love it. Well, thanks, Mark. We'll hear from the folks again at Trendmaker Homes soon here in the middle of the program. But without further ado, while everybody gets on these calls, I mean, there's got to be some important programming, some great education, and what better way than to learn from the best? And I'm sure he gets this all the time. Raul Patel Gaines, attorney at law, thinking about branding. He is so many things. And I joked with him earlier. I told him that I was going to say that if you're looking for a good summer book to read, just go online and Google Raul Patel, and you'll find his bio. He's very accomplished in a bunch of different arenas, leadership, an attorney, a speaker. You've had 40 under 40 awards. You've been quoted in numerous magazines, publications. The list goes on and on. But I think something that I found very interesting, Raul, a couple of years ago, I was talking with a marketing client when I was doing some consulting work, and the greatest perspective is that we're all marketing companies. We're all marketing companies, but it's what we do. So every agent that's on this call, you're a marketing company that just happens to sell homes, just like you're a marketing company that provides litigation. And I think that that mindset, and I'm sure you're the expert and you're gonna cover this, but I just think that shift, that paradigm, well, this is just my job and I need to hire somebody else for marketing, that the core of what you do, we're all marketing ourselves. And so we're just so excited to have you here. Thank you for taking time out of your, I'm sure, very busy schedule to be with us. So.
Well, it's an honor to be on. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, great. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thanks. Thanks for that lovely introduction. And thank you for all those kind words. I'm glad that my contribution to Platinum Top 50 was able to get you to say those things. So that worked out well. No, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on, and for all of you that are here. This is really an interesting time, but I really think that you can find a positive in everything that's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully everyone's able to still see everything, and I'm going to kind of put this into presenter mode. And I will get it. If I don't hear any complaints, it assumes that you can hear me or see it well. Are we okay, Ashton? We're good to go? Okay. Well, you know, okay, perfect. So thanks for bearing with me a little bit with the Zoom technology. I miss the live audience. I miss the live crowd. I like being able to see people, talk to people, but you know, I think that times we'll get back to normal here pretty soon. So, you know, the focus of today is really building, branding, and growing your business for the future. You know, it's a perfect time to think about those things, because we've had opportunities to be at home. We've had opportunities to see weak points in our businesses. We've seen strengths in our businesses. So I think, you know, for me, you know, one of the biggest things that I'd love for you guys to take away from this is really knowing that you are in control of building and branding your business. And when it means your business, it doesn't just mean starting your own business. You are your business, or wherever it is that you work, or whoever it is that you are a part of. You can drive the success for yourself. You can drive the success for your corporation, and more importantly, you can really drive your growth for what you are doing and where you're going. So really, you know, I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. So you know, a little bit about myself, a little bit about what we have done. You know, this is me. And so, you know, I'm an attorney. Moved here 10 years ago, $600 in my pocket. And I lived on the west side, or on the east side of Texas, east side of San Antonio, and moved into a motel. I really had no money, no credit, not really a lot going for me, but I knew that I had a dream and a vision, and I worked for it. And, you know, Patel Gaines is the umbrella in which, you know, a lot of people in San Antonio know us for, but with that, we've continued to build, right? Continue to build things that make sense, build things that we want to be a part of, and most importantly, things that we believe in. So with that, you'll see Patel Gaines, but you'll also see these other entities that are there, because those are things that I'm involved with, right? And what I say this is, and what this means is, there are lots of opportunities that each of you can be a part of that will fit your core values, your core businesses, and more importantly, something that you can help generate continued success. So F45 Fitness Concept in San Antonio, we have two under construction, 3 more that are going to start construction, and 1 that has already been open. And we've got 1 opening here July 15th. So, you know, it's a fitness concept. I believe in fitness. I believe that it's the core of keeping your mind and your body. The more active they are and the better their conjunction, they have a opportunity to grow. We started a sports agency here in San Antonio. So San Antonio, you know, for a lot of folks say you can't do certain things in San Antonio. You have to be in LA, you have to be in New York. This was our desire to prove the critics wrong, but more importantly, bring excitement to San Antonio. So if you see FSM, it's a fundamental sports management. We represent 2 of San Antonio Spurs' youngest, and I think the most brightest athletes that we have coming into the Spurs, which is Lonnie Walker and Keldon Johnson, this year's first-round draft pick. So again, just some things that we're involved with, and then in commercial development. And I always like the question mark is what's next. So many of you have these same opportunities. So this is a great time when you talk about building what you're doing. Take a moment to figure out what you're a part of. It doesn't mean you have to have your own company or you've started your own company, but maybe you start at the top with yourself and you add in things that you are a part of or you believe you are have strong alliances with. So these are ways where many of you who are realtors have good relationships with developers. You have a great relationship with a mortgage company. You maybe have a great relationship with the title company. Those are still spheres and umbrellas that which you can build your brand within. And sometimes it takes time to identify those. And then you can, from there, as we get into this a little bit, you talk about how you can grow from those opportunities. And then take a few moments to really think about the accolades or awards or accomplishments or things that you and your company and your coworkers have been a part of. Use those to your advantage and use those to leverage further credibility within the industry. Oftentimes we live in moments where you can hear certain things, but you can't, or you see certain things happen, but then you forget about them or you don't get the value out of them. So it's really, really critical to make sure that people know that the things that you have been doing, you've been working hard for, can do. And you look at these and you say, well, that's easy for someone to do once you've hit those, but what about me who don't have those or haven't gotten there yet? You know, I'm here to tell you that all great things have modest beginnings. This picture, one of the pictures in here is my favorite picture. The one there kind of in the bottom that you're looking at where I'm wearing this blue suit in this tiny little box, that was my first office. It was an 8x10 box at a Regis office. My law partner and I quit our jobs and we had put down a deposit and had an 8x10 box with a 6-month commitment and had no idea where we were going and where we would get to. And then over here to the left, that's my new office as it was being built. So my office in and of itself was twice as big as our entire office ever was. And we were down the road, got an opportunity to build and create our own building. And so, you know, I'm here to tell you that all great things have to start somewhere. So, you know, oftentimes in the race at life, what happens is we get to the period where, well, you know, I'm never going to be able to get there. I don't know how to get there. So we oftentimes stop or we don't make the moves that are necessary to get there. It takes hard work, it takes time, and it takes repetition. Just like anything that we do, the more and more we do it, the more and more we practice our skill set, and the harder and harder that we work, those accomplishments will happen. The singles will add up to doubles, and the doubles will add up to home runs. And from there, they will continue to pile. And I would tell you 7 years ago when we started this, if you asked outsiders, there were some folks that told me this was the dumbest decision you're making. You're leaving a great opportunity for something that has no certainty. And, you know, in all reality, most new law firms don't succeed. They don't grow, they don't expand. But if you have that dedication, you can do it. This is a great time while things are going to be a little bit slower to really envision how you're going to change. But know this, if you put in the effort and you put in the commitment and you go back and look at the relationships that you have built, you can accomplish all of the objectives that you're looking for to grow. So they all start somewhere. And I think that this is a perfect time to really set those goals, but you got to lay them out now. Now, you know, we talk about how they can lead to great things. A few years ago, it was just my law partner and myself. What the coolest thing I like to see is when we have a sphere of people that we now work for us, now work with us, and are now part of our, what I call, quote unquote, our team, right? This is our family. So in my opinion, this is one of the greatest things that comes of building what you're doing is growing. So if you're part of a company and you're just getting going, your goal should be to grow. Why? Not just for yourself, but be able to add employment for others, add to your team, add to areas that you may not have as a strength and continue to bring them in. So building is more than just saying, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to grow, but really, you know, this is what I call, you know, the core of our group. Which is great is during this pandemic, we didn't have to have a single layoff. Now I know that's not no norm for everybody, but when you know the faces and you know the people that work for you and you consider them family, it makes you work that much harder to make sure that they can lead to great things. You know, one of the things that I am most proud of in this picture, and I think that many of you strive for this, and it creates, I think, awesome opportunity for folks, is the diversity in every aspect when it comes to age, where we came from, who we are, what we know, what backgrounds we are, what education fields we have. We have marketing folks, we have CPAs, we have attorneys, we have former NBA players, we have current NBA players, we have all kinds of spectrums here, recent college graduates with marketing degrees. But overall consensus theme here is the diversity and the uniqueness of each people brings our team together and actually makes our team stronger. One of the coolest things I like about this one, and you know, one of the ones that when it comes up to awards, is being one of the best places to work. And I think that's something to strive for, to know that the culture that you're building can lead to great things. So the next kind of, you know, ideal thing that I like to talk to about, people ask me a lot, well, where do I begin? You say a lot of interesting things, but you know, where do I begin and where does it start? This is, and if you look over here to the left, this is literally a business plan. If you see it, it's we created, went to Kinko's, spent numerous hours when I created the firm building my business plan. I think that's one of the biggest things that's missed upon folks, is that they don't create a plan. They have an idea, they have a vision, but they don't have a plan. So number one, always start with a business professional plan, not in theory, but you have to physically make it appear in front of you. And I know that sounds kind of comical sometimes for folks. Sometimes people say, well, you know, do I really need to do this? Yes, I think it's absolute. If you cannot take the time and energy to put it into motion, put it into practice, and make it appear before you, it is going to be that much more difficult for you to actually be able to execute on your plan or your vision. So literally when I say, yes, it is something that I've always done, that is my business plan for Patel Gaines. And I've had one for FSM and for every business that I've ever done. My FSM business plan was 25 plus pages, countless hours of Word documents, countless hours of thinking ideas. And did I stick with it? We'll talk about that, right? But always have a plan and make it appear before you, because it holds you accountable. When you're showing a home to a client, or you're showing somebody who's looking for a $500,000 home, well, sometimes there's things that we require from them, right? That you require them to be pre-approved. You require them to make sure that they have the down payment, the collateral. Well, you're making them make things happen so you can do it for them. Same situation for yourself. If you don't have a plan, then there is no way that you can execute on that plan. And there's no way that you can truly be successful, because you do not know what you're shooting for. Now, rule number 2, I always say, be ready to scrap, deviate, or adjust from your business plan. Too many times I see people who have, well, this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. Fantastic. But things will change. You may see opportunities that you never knew would happen before you. You may have got into this with the idea that I'm going to sell multi-million-dollar luxury homes, and you later find out that selling duplexes and condominiums is where you really excel. You're accelerating, seeing more activity, more vision. Be ready to scrap, deviate, or adjust your plan. I guarantee you, and I've looked at this every year, my Patel Gaines simple approach is it's not even my same logo today. We've changed the logo, we've changed the moniker, we've updated our website 3 times. Things have changed. Fundamentally, in all aspects has changed. However, the plan set us up for success, and revisiting the plan is important. Now is a perfect time to revisit this plan. If you don't have a plan, well, this is a perfect time to have a plan. What do you want to do this year, this summer, next year? What are you going to do if your business slows down or you need to pivot? How are you going to do that? How are you going to adjust? How are you going to do this if some of your clients don't want to see homes with you but still need to buy a home? What is your plan? So what I would say is, for all of you that are working from home, adjusting to this new period, Here's a simple rule that I'm telling some folks is take an hour of your time, and rather than watching a new series on Netflix, which is crazy because Netflix and some of the stocks have gone through the roof, spend an hour on your business, spend an hour on your career or your professional goals. And if you can't have time for that, then it'll be very difficult for you to hit your goals. So this is a perfect time, because now is where people have some more time than they have ever, more flexibility from your boss, from your employers than ever. And so get ready to get that plan and revisit it. So number one, if you don't have one, go back and go do it. And if you do have one and you just haven't had a chance to look at it, well, go back now, because a perfect time to do it. Utilize this time to reinvent your brand. So when you say, what do I do? What do I change? Reinvent yourself. Get creative. All of the things that you have in your plan, or if you had a plan that you don't like, you didn't accomplish, you didn't goal, now is the perfect time to truly go and reinvent yourself. You can do what you need to do. You have to be critical of your own business plan. So go back, grade yourself. Put in there, did I get an A? Did I accomplish all these goals? Did I not? Did I fail? Did I succeed? Why? It may not be because of you. It may just be something that happened in the environment or the market. So, but instead of saying, well, that's an excuse, let's go find out, or ask yourself the tough questions. One of the things that I can kind of tell you before we kind of take a quick break here is, don't be afraid to be vulnerable with your plan. Ask somebody to look at it. If you're afraid for somebody to see it, then you will never get the critical feedback you have. I always tell people, don't ask the nice friend. Don't ask the friend that would just say, that is so awesome, you look great. Ask the friend that's going to tell you, well, doesn't look that great on you, or you could use this improvement. They're not trying to beat you down, but they're the ones that are going to give you the most honest and critical feedback, because you need that, right? How many times I remember, going to see a home, and I tell, looking for a house, and they'll say, well, this is great, because actually it's not. I don't like the view, right? I don't. So it's better to be honest than say, no, I really do. Or you know what it is? No, because then we're not giving real feedback. So ask somebody who's going to spend some time. Great time to look at this. And I say this, and I show this picture again, because I went down to Kinko's, spent the 40, 50 bucks, whatever it was, to get it physically printed, bound, and I gave that to some of my friends for me to give me real critical feedback so they could understand. And don't be defensive. Ask questions. Every time when they say, well, I did this because, that's when you find yourself saying, I did this because, or that's in there because, then you haven't learned anything from what you're saying. You should be looking at this saying, okay, I have spent 50 hours writing this book, so I know what's in it or what I meant by it, but the person who's looking at it isn't going to understand, or they didn't understand it. So something was missed. I think that's the most critical thing that I learned. A lot of people do ask me to look at their business plan for them. The first thing I do is give them feedback. And many, many times I get what I call defensive responses. If you find yourself preventing a defensive response, then you have lost all opportunity for that person giving you some really good critical feedback. Because most times people are not trying to kill you and your vision and your dream. They're trying to give you real, honest, critical feedback. You all know it. You've gone into showing homes and the home does not show well. The home needs to be staged. It's not as good of a view as you think. It's not the layout, but the homeowner loves it. It's the most important thing in the world to them. And they're telling you everything about how great it is, and you're trying to tell them think about that. Somebody has critical feedback to give you, and they're not necessarily coming through with it, right? So be really, really, have the ability to be vulnerable with your plan. Because again, when I tell somebody some feedback, it's not to kill their dream. I want them to succeed. But if you can't listen to it, then there's no point in asking somebody about it. That's why I like rule number one, put it into paper, because if somebody wants to see it, you should be explaining it to them. Say, here, take a look at this. I want to know your feedback, and get that honest feedback, right? Because sometimes the best friend that you have is the one that tells you, don't wear that out. You look like an idiot. Well, I'd rather hear that than go out there, if that makes sense. Same situation. Don't go into something and not have it. That doesn't mean you have to agree with every one of their comments or every one of their feedbacks. right? But at least understand it and understand when you go back and say, okay, this is going to be a challenge I have. This is going to be a roadblock that I'm going to come up against. How am I going to address this? So if you don't know where to start and you don't have a business plan and you don't have a professional plan, then start there. And if you did have one and you do have one and you haven't looked at it in a while, then go back and use this time to revisit yourself. And then number 3, really take this time to find out how you're going to reinvent yourself. Just because you've been doing one thing one way and it's worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work forever. And there are those that are constantly going to be pushing the envelope for success. And at the same time, if you are in a position of leadership, if you're in a position of to make a decision, look around you and ask for feedback. Say, what do you think we should do? Where do we lack as a company, as a brand? And you, at the same time, can go to your employers with this plan and say, look, here's what I think we should do. Here's how I believe we should approach it. The more you put things into writing, the more things you vetted them out, the more credibility you're going to have. So that's where I would start. With that, I want to quickly turn it back over to Platinum Top 50. Thank you guys for what you guys do. This is incredible turnout. I want to take a quick break and turn it back over to Trendmaker Homes for a quick message.
Hey, thanks so much. Take a quick break. And Raul, I want to, before we introduce Trendmaker, I really, you hit on something very poignant that we discussed even in a leadership meeting between Kelly and Amber and myself earlier this week. And it's, we've been doing things the same way for a very long time where, we weren't doing virtual events. Everything was in the live event space. And until you're pushed a little bit harder, then it puts you outside of your comfort zone. You have to make decisions very, very fast to stay above water. But now, well, people are loving this. We're hearing from agents all the time. I don't have to do my hair. I don't have to fight Austin traffic. I can stay longer. I can still check emails, but I'm listening and getting great content, or I can listen on demand later, which leads us to believe like this is a concept that's not going to go away. It's not something we probably would have come up with on our own had we not have been forced. We could have come up with it at some time, but maybe not as fast or as quickly as we did now. And so I just think that that's something, and I know that every agent, every client on this call, they've had to shift very quickly as well. So we'll let you catch your break. And I'm going to right now introduce some of our other friends at Trendmaker Home, the people that are boots on the ground in some of our communities. We have got Jen Hickman and we have Thomas Cirrus, both of them very instrumental in keeping things moving at Trendmaker Homes. And I love Jen's virtual background, taking a technology, and she is in one of the new model at Meyer Ranch in New Braunfels, right? Is that correct?
I am, yes.
Okay.
I am virtually in our newest model, the Trinity in Meyer Ranch. We have 2 great models for you guys, but the Trinity is one of our newest, so we'd love for you to come out and see us. So, hey guys, I'm Jen Hickman. I'm the new home specialist for Trendmaker Homes for the entire Austin area. I am here as your online internet concierge service for you. So if you have clients who have needs and you don't know exactly what inventory we have or what communities we're building in, feel free to reach out to me. Tell me what your clients are looking for, and I will go do that legwork for you and come back to you, let you know what inventory we have, what models we have that may fit their needs, and I'll go do all that work for you. And then I can get the appointment set up for you and your clients to come out and visit those communities. So I not only work with Meyer Ranch and New Braunfels, but I work in all of our communities in Austin as well. And I'm here as a dedicated resource for you guys to help you and your clients. So Jen Hickman, I did put my information in the chat so you guys can have that. But also if you go to our website, trendmakerhomes.com, Austin, my face pops up there and you can call me at that number or you can chat with me online and I will get back to you just as quickly as possible. So I'm going to turn it over to Thomas now. He's going to talk to you a little bit about Meyer Ranch and the specific details we have going on in Meyer Ranch and about our grand opening that we have out there. Thomas?
Yes, thanks, Jen. So, hey, I've worked with a number of you guys at Teie years ago. I've worked with a number of you folks over in 6 Creeks. And we're still operating in 6 Creeks on 50 and 60 foot wide home sites. But now we are also kicking off Meyer Ranch. As Mark had mentioned, it's a 700-acre community out in New Braunfels. It's just a short drive to downtown. And, most of you guys have visited our communities, but for those who have not, it's not enough for us to offer the same floor plans year after year. That would be boring, and that would be pretty much just like the rest of our industry. So we're innovators. I've been here for 15 years with this company. We continue to innovate as an organization. Like I always tell clients that come into our homes, if you're going to pay 2020 prices, I think you should get a 2020 design. And with Trendmaker, you do. So particularly in Meyer Ranch, we have 6 plans, and we know most agents and prospects are wanting 1-stories. So out of those 6, 5 are 1-stories, one of them being in a 1.5 stories. And then for that rare couple that wants, or family that wants a 2-story home, we actually have a 2-story home. These sites are exceptional. So New Braunfels is beautiful for all the folks that have been out there, but these sites are something else. So a number of these home sites have creek views. Some of them have 150-foot depths. There's quite a few of them that have no rear neighbors. And it's our own little enclave of home sites. So it's quite special, and it's directly across the street from the community center. You know, as I say, as it relates to our product, you know, Austin is a demand-rich market. It's probably not necessary that we put all the resources we do into creating new plans, but we do. That's who we are. We're Trendmaker Homes. We set the trend in design, and it makes it so much easier when agents like yourselves bring in a prospect and they finally see something they're excited about. I mean, this has happened hundreds and hundreds of times, if not 1,000 times in my career here. So we make it a lot easier for you, for them to love something. And then on the back end of that, when they have to resell, what resells a home? The design. So years later, 5, 10, 15 years later, that home will sell quicker because of the design. So we've got a couple of flyers up. Ashton, I believe you posted our first one there for $10,000 off at our design center. We're running that promotion now through June 15th, and that applies for all of our communities, 6 Creeks, Meyer Ranch, and everything else around town. And then we have another promotion going on right now for a 2-1 buy down. And believe it or not, the rates start at 1.25 the first year, 2.25 the next year, and then 3.25 for the life of the loan thereafter. So I think that's all I have, guys. I appreciate Ashton, and I definitely appreciate Raul's presentation. You know, I would add that even the guys that speak at intermission when everybody's grabbing coffee or using the bathroom can be successful. So don't be discouraged by that. But thank you, Ashton. Thank you, Raul. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Stop it.
Yeah. Well,
Ashton, I did want to add one more thing that I did forget.
Yes.
Please do.
You guys know. So we are creating a VIP list right now for Meyer Ranch. So if you have clients that are interested in Meyer Ranch and want to come down there and be one of the first people to grab one of those amazing home sites, let me know. We're putting that together, that VIP list right now. And those VIP appointments are going to start on May the 21st. And we would love for your clients to be some of the first to get out there and grab one of those amazing lots.
Awesome. Jen, Thomas, thank you so much for being on the call. Again, thank you, Trendmaker, for hosting this event and bringing Raul to us. We are going to bring him back here in just a second.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see here. Let's get Raul back. I'm hoping that he's ready. He didn't run away during the break. Probably took advantage of the time. There he is. Hey!
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
No, I definitely did listen to Thomas's presentation. So I thank you guys. And your name is perfect at this time with Trendmaker, right? And so now is the time to make a trend and make a new trend if you're not sure where to go. So with that, you want me to go ahead and jump back in?
It's all yours.
All right, I'm going to share my screen and let's see if I can get back into. Okay, can you share? Can you see the screen?
Sir.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So branding. So we talk about how do you build your brand, and this is you know, kind of a question that we talked about. So now we're actually having this. You've got your brand. Some of the steps I tell people that the best way to really truly build your brand. A lot of folks believe, you know, you get the logistics out of the way, right? Your logos, your websites, all that stuff. And I think that branding is truly far more than that. It's really about developing who you and your company are truly about. So here's some steps that I believe in, and you'll see some common themes in here. that are missing. There's nothing about website. There's nothing about your logo. There's nothing about advertising. I think that much of what you can do can be done without really costing anything. So I think one of the biggest things that people say is, well, I can't really, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to be there. You can do this from home, and you can do this now, and there really is no excuse. And so some of the things that I talk about, number one, educate from home. You are in this business. This is the greatest time to be able to take advantage of what you're doing. Build and educate from home. So there's so many things you can do. I saw a great thing. I did a podcast. Fellow buddy of mine, he's a realtor, he's a videographer, he does a lot of things. He said, hey, can I do a podcast with you? I said, sure. Would you be on my podcast? I said, absolutely. Just let me know when. Set it up. And we didn't talk about, mortgages. We didn't talk about refinance. We didn't talk about the legal truck contract. We just talked about, variety of things going on with COVID and going on with being at home. And so there's so many things that you can educate your customers or about. Don't be afraid about whether they're a client, what do I give away as much education as you can. The more that you can educate people, the more that people hear from you, about you, and really relate to you. That's going to be the most organic way to grow your client base. Listen, some people will love you for a variety of reasons, and some people will have different, everyone has different reasons for how they're attracted to somebody from a business standpoint, right? Some people love somebody who listens and they're quiet and they're more responsive to certain things. Some people love somebody who's just out there in your face and more aggressive. So you can't be everybody. You can be yourself. But the more that your voice is heard, the more that you are educating people about what makes you you and what makes your company you, that will be in and of itself, your marketing for you, right? So find ways that you can educate, and don't be afraid. Again, I use that word vulnerability a lot. People have made mistakes. So talk about them. Talk about that, because it'll be a learning experience for you. It'll be a learning experience for your clients. And maybe it's learning experience for somebody else who's getting into this business that they look up to you. And ultimately, who knows? They could be working for you. They could be working with you, or you might end up working with them. So have the ability to educate, and you can educate from home. You don't need much. You just need an AirPod, or you need a mic. Most of the stuff you can do. There's no excuse. Build a culture. Now, this is really, really important. I cannot understate culture. It's more than about just saying the word. It's truly about build a culture that's important to you, that resolves around. To me, I think when I look at that group, it's because we're family. I know who I work with. I know who works with me. I know what their spouses are, what they do for a living, how many kids they have, all of those things. If you build a strong culture that relates to who you are and resonates, and the more natural and organic that is, the better it becomes. So, if you're an outdoors person and you like hunting and you like fishing and you like doing all those things that Texans love to do, well, then build that into your culture. Make that a fabric of who you are, and make that a fabric of what you do. Because I'll tell you, don't be afraid then. Don't think you have to show up in a suit and tie to go do a showing, because there are lots of folks who just won't feel comfortable if you show up in that. And a lot of people who just will relate to you 50 times more because you are who you are. So build a culture. Don't be afraid of that culture, and make that an extension of who you work for and who you work around. It's very, very important to be yourself, because that will make your job much easier, because you're not playing a role, you're just being yourself. And make that an extension of what you do. A lot of folks, they like to bring their kids along for certain things. They might incorporate their kids. Well, if that's your culture and that's who you want to be, well, then do it and live it and breathe it, and allow your clients and encourage them to do things. Bring things along for their kids, because look, when you're trying to show them a house and their kids are coming along and they're distracted, well, bring something along with them that might attract them to help keep their kids occupied. I've seen realtors who brought almost a quote unquote babysitter type person along with them to help keep the kids occupied while they're showing the houses. So whatever your culture is, be an extension of that, and make sure you extend along that, right? If you're a family person, then you got to be able to be open to the other folks having that kind of relationship as well, and be open to that. So I always say lead with that as kind of the philosophy that you're going to want to do. And I'm telling you, it will pay dividends. Develop your company, not just yourself. So as you grow, or as you are growing and as you're growing within your company, ask for things to develop your company and by those around you. So a lot of times you may, as you grow and you have in charge of a division, or you might be in charge of other realtors, or you might be in charge of other mortgage brokers, to ask for development tools for not just for you, but for everybody. Because the more that they're developed, the better that they are, the better served that you can do your job. The higher trained and the better skills that those around you have, the better and the easier it is for you to do what you want to do. Continue to innovate, create ways to be innovative. There's so many cool things going on right now with, in this industry with 360 viewings, drone technology, live footage, Instagram Live, Facebook Live. There's so many different ways to innovate what you want to do. So there's no excuse. The only excuse is you not willing to put yourself out there to be the person that's going to do that. So, there are people who say, well, if I post it and somebody else sees it and they don't have me as a realtor, what if they buy the house from the sellers? I mean, just do it, because eventually the innovation you will be able to stay ahead of that and it will catch up. Community outreach, do things within the community. When people see you, people see your company, people see your brand, people see you, they will be gravitated to come to you because, again, you were the educator, you have the culture that you believe in, you have a team of professionals that you believe in, you're more innovative than others, and guess what? You care about your community. So when you add all those tools together, that in and of itself is your brand. Those things should speak for themselves. Next up, you talk about take advantage of the available tools. There's so many tools out there for you. So I talk about, what do we do to build your brand? Right now is a great time. There are so many things and tools that have enhanced the way we do it. Think about it. A couple years ago, a few years back, whatever that was, DocuSign, wasn't there, right? And so you couldn't just e-sign a document. You had to go print it out. Somebody had to go send it over there. You may have to go back to your clients. You just press a couple of buttons, boom. Think about what that technology has done to us. So use those and look for other tools, right? Just because you don't do it, just because it hasn't been accepted by the industry yet, doesn't mean that you can't look for those other tools. And look for tools at other industries outside of yours that they might be using, because there are ways that those things could be incorporated into your business. A month ago, 2 months ago, we thought we were doing a presentation for Platinum Top 50 and Trendmaker Homes on Zoom. We all thought we were being crazy, right? But we have 40 plus people here logged on, and we're all tuned in, and I haven't bored everybody up unequivocally yet, but we're all on this. So technology has allowed us to do things we may not have done these before, right? So if you have clients and you have customers that are uncomfortable coming in or going to see a home, we'll do something different. Do it via FaceTime, do it via Zoom, set up a Zoom home showing, I don't know, maybe that's already has happened, but there's so many things that you can do. Take advantage. Technology is king. And it's the number one thing to make sure that you're doing that. Reach out for marketing assistance. I think it's a great time, if you have not done so, to build your marketing, because I will tell you right now, with the job market, we're seeing the amount of unemployment and layoffs. There are people out there and new graduates that are looking for work and hungry to do this. And so it may take you 10 hours to do something, and you may not be able to do it at the same skill set that a recent graduate can knock out for you in an hour. So demand right now for employment, and the demand is out there. The supply is out there. So now's a great time to reach out to revamp some of the things that you wanted to do, because I bet you if you had an estimate or a budget or a quote for a redo of your website and marketing materials a year ago and it was $10,000, I bet you could probably negotiate that down for a fraction of that cost right now, right? And it's a way to help your business. It's a way to help a fellow local business, continue to stay in business and employ themselves. And at the same time, it's a win-win for everybody, right? So perfect time to revisit anything that needs to be done. Perfect time. Go the extra mile for your clients. Really simple, right? But just do a little bit above and beyond what others might be doing right now. Adjust to them versus making them adjust to you. There are people that are comfortable out there right now, people that are uncomfortable out there right now. They have different needs. They may have people that are kids at home, right? Expect they can put them at school, they can put them at daycare, but they want to see a house, but they can't. Whatever that situation is, go the extra mile for your clients, right? And so, one of my friends who showed me some homes here recently, he'll wear the gloves and a mask, and he always, first thing he asks is, hey, are your parents comfortable? Do your parents want me to wear a mask? And I said, yes. So boom, no questions asked. Doesn't matter what his philosophy is behind it. Go the extra mile for your clients, because that's taking advantage of the current situation. Now, here's what I call the spheres of influence. It's priceless. Most of it is almost free. I would tell you each of these 4 major ones that you see here are basically free to use. And a lot of folks really, I've had somebody recently go, wow, Facebook's just outdated. It doesn't matter. No one uses it anymore. I call and I say, okay, but what about the percentage of people that are on Facebook? And what about the percentage of people that are not on Instagram? Or what about the people that are not on LinkedIn, or vice versa? You've got to use all of the tools available for you, and they're relatively free. So where there should not be some sort of reluctance for you to be able to do that. You should force yourself to use all the platforms and use them wisely. LinkedIn is going to be different than Instagram, right? So you're not going to want to post photos of food you've eaten or things you've done, but there's so many things you can do. So on Instagram, perfect place maybe to show local restaurants, things that are hobbies, things that you can do, outdoor activities, a nearby hiking trail around a house you want to sell, whatever, or your culture or your team, or maybe that's a perfect platform from Instagram. LinkedIn might be a better place for you to post things about mortgage rates, how to refinance your home, how to get equity out of certain things, how to sell a home in a tough market, that might be more of your education platform. Facebook, look, a lot of people are still on Facebook, so there's tons of opportunities there to maybe build a deeper opportunity in Facebook. Same thing with Twitter. I have this other sphere out there because that's your personal branding. The pencil kind of just represents your website, your email campaigns, your newsletters. All of this is important. You go, whoa, so much for me to do, so I don't want to do it all. It's not as hard as it seems. You just have to have a plan. So if I say I'm going to touch Instagram today, I'm going to touch LinkedIn on Tuesdays, I'm going to touch Facebook on Wednesdays, and Twitter on Thursday, and then my website on Friday. All it takes is 30 minutes each day, and you've got every one of your platforms covered. You can expand upon that from if you want, but at least it's a foundation. So it's not that hard for you to be able to do that. Trust me, I still check in LinkedIn about 20 minutes each day, and I address each of those. And I've just a couple minutes left, so I'm going to try to get through this. Growing questions to consider. Here's something that I want to leave you with for you to think about. And these are questions that you should start by answering yourselves. So it's not for me to answer the questions for you, but it's for you to say, let me start here and let me build my business plan from here. So I talked a lot about that because it's really important. Number one, what is your customer or client's most important reason for hiring you? Now, this is a really important question but I know what most of you are going to do is you're going to start to make a list of the things that you believe are the reasons why. Write that list down. But what I encourage you to do is become vulnerable and ask the questions to your customers or your clients. Send them a survey. Send them put on Instagram. You can put a post that says A, B, or C. You can put a yes or no. Find out why they actually hired you, or why they like you, or why they would use you or recommend you, not based on just what you think. Well, I think they hired me because I always respond to emails really quick, or I'm willing to show them a house at any time. That might not have anything to do with why they hired you, right? It might only have hired you because they said, this person does what they say they're gonna do. Whatever that is, find that out. So when I ask, what is your customer's most important reason for hiring you? Ask them so you can actually understand their purchasing habits, not what you believe your purchasing habits. How can you put together a roadmap or a plan if you don't truly know the why? Most people have the why as to why they believe they've been hired. But what I encourage you to do is ask your actual customers or clients why they hire you. How can you be an asset to them during this time? Make a list of what you think you can do for them to help them during this time. Same thing, ask them. You may have some ways that you may believe you're being a service to them, but it may not be actually moving the needle. Ask them, what are the 3 most important things I could do for you? You never know what those could be, and you wanna make sure that you're providing those tools for them. What is your competitor doing really well? So this is not an opportunity to go down and just copy what they're doing, but look, you should be aware of what your competitors are doing well. Because if they're doing well, it's an opportunity for you to get better. It's an opportunity for you to adjust your business as well. And you can always learn from people that are successful. It doesn't, I kind of believe that there are a lot of people who are a couple of mindsets and wise that believe when others are doing successful, they call kind of hate on them, right? They go, oh, well, blah, 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 or they are only because of X, Y, Z. Instead, why don't you look at what they're doing well? And there might be a reason why they're succeeding, and yours may not be at the same level. So find out what they're doing and try to grow from that. Try to make yourself better. Sometimes if you just ask, sometimes competitors are not as bad as you think, and they're willing to give you some information. They may not replicate your business so you can succeed. I mean, you can take over theirs, but they'll give you some tools. Same thing with competitor. Release that away and say, what is your coworker doing really well? Like, why does your coworker hit #1 in sales every month and you don't? Instead of saying, well, they're just better. They get the better listings. They get this. Find out what they're doing, because there's probably a reason. What is no one doing? What is nobody else doing that you can't? That's the question that if you can start to answer #4, you will succeed. What is it that somebody else is not doing that I can do to succeed upon? And those are things that I think can really truly start to help you. So next, what will be your competitive advantage post-COVID? I don't know that. This is where you truly can say, what will I be able to do that others will not? Great opportunities to think about your company, great time to think about your employees, your coworkers, your technology, maybe your lack of technology. I had talked to some friends who are in the legal industry who truly have struggled because they weren't using Slack, they weren't using FaceTime, they weren't using laptops, and they were struggled. And I was like, guys, it didn't affect us. We just took our laptops, worked from home, and we were good to go. We were communicating through Slack, they had no drop off. So there's a great time to find out what is your competitive advantage and what are you getting beat up at? What can you do better at? This is a great time to really look at that. Same thing with if there are things that are creating you competitive disadvantages, perfect time to remove those from your business. Are there things that you're doing and you're chasing that aren't actually profiting you or your company, and you find yourself negative in energy and time by chasing that? And yes, it's something that you did, but at sometimes you make changes in what you do and what you may want to do as a business. So these are some kind of questions to consider to really help you start to formulate, where should I take my business plan and where should I go from there? So these are just some things for you to kind of consider, for you to kind of start with, and truly, really just to start back with your business. So with that, I really appreciate the time. Thank you for coming on, and I hope I kept it right within your time frame there.
Man, you did great. Of course, I think that you're always a fan favorite. Raul spoke at Thinkers and Doers in San Antonio last year. A really great event that we took online this year. I'm just interested when we look at building our brand and that often is to start to really just dig deep, because I think sometimes it's just a really scary place to go. What's your advice on that? Just kind of doing that introspective look so you can really drill down to where you are being very true to your brand versus just assuming, like you said, like your clients, they hire you for one reason. Do you truly know yourself in regards to building that brand piece? What's your advice for that?
I think you broke up there for a second, but I think ultimately you really want to start with areas of improvement. It's easy to start with where you did really well. Start with areas of improvement. And so, if you had a division or you had a goal to do X amount of sales in luxury homes, or you had an X amount of, you want to do X amount of sales within the Austin market, San Antonio market, whatever that might be, start with a measuring tool. Look at what you did, review what you were doing, and then really try to grade yourself. Did I really hit A's, B's, C's? What percentage? Why did I not accomplish those? So I really think you kind of have to find, you find your vulnerabilities first. So when you found your vulnerabilities, and then, really, I'd say one of the things that I think has been important for me, and I advise people, is find a mentor. find somebody that can help you. Now, that's easier said than done. And I also think that it requires more effort on your part than it does on who you ask to be a mentor. Don't go to them and say, hey, I need your help. What did you do to make yourself successful? I love following you. It takes more than that. Go there with things in hand and ask specific questions. Here's my business plan. Here's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. I'm failing at this, or I'm not hitting my marks for these 3 reasons. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. Could you give me some feedback? Now you've left somebody with some specific questions that they can answer for you versus, hey, I love what you do, but and can you show me how I can be the top reel? And so I think that's where they lose the relationship with a mentor or somebody that they look up to. You really need to have somebody you can trust, you can rely on, but do work for them so you can take that feedback and truly grow from that. And you can't just leave them with a whole bunch of homework to do. The goal should be to come back by answering some specific questions for you, and then you go back and you work on those. That's where I think the most successful mentor and kind of protege or whatever relationships you want to consider, you're going to call that, is really, really important. Take that feedback and ask them for critical feedback. Literally, I mean, let them be brutal to you because they're not trying to hurt you. They're trying to you're trying to build yourself up. So most of the time I come in, I've helped folks, and I also have a lot of folks I could just tell they're not really wanting to help because it's like, well, because, yeah, but I did that because, and I would have done that, but, and you could just tell they're not looking for growth. They're looking for validation for what hasn't happened, if that makes sense. So perfect time to really become, like I said, allow yourself to be vulnerable because this is going to be a humbling summer for a lot of us, right? We're going to see what happens. So perfect time to look at that.
And then, you touched on it a little bit, but I think that it's something to really hone in on is it's not about where you are now, it's where you want to be in the future.
Right.
So how important is establishing that 3-year, 5-year, 7-year vision and working backwards to say, here's where I want to go. I mean, I want to retire in the lake house. And so what are all the steps that I need to take here in the here and now to get there, that progressive?
It's the most important thing. Again, if you don't have a plan, you don't know how you're going to get there. Like, you talk about Trendmaker Homes, that they set out to say, I'm going to build a beautiful home. And there's no plan, there's no architectural, there's no design, interior designer. You didn't pick out the tiles until the third day before closing. You're not going to get done, right? You're not going to hit those goals. So you have to have a roadmap and a plan. Be ready to deviate from it. But if you don't know where you're going to be 5 years from now, guarantee you won't get there, right? And so for every person who will tell you, well, just go out there and go do it, you'll be successful regardless. People do it. People do it all the time. I mean, it's not that it can't happen, but for most, if you don't have a plan and you don't lay it out there, it'll be very hard for you to get there. And then how will you judge yourself of whether you did well or not? And so I think, having that creates real accountability for you to go back and look at this and say, did I do this? At the same time, you'd be surprised. You may have accomplished many more things than you thought you were going to be able to do. So, I think it creates accountability. And Facebook does a great job of that 2-year look back, 3 years ago memory, and you go, whoa, and you look at that and so, man, I really lost weight, or I really put on some weight from the last time, right? So then boom, you have that there. So now look, I have to do something to change where I'm going to go. Same situation here. So, you really have to have that plan, because if you don't, there's no way you'll be able to accomplish those goals.
And we treat business like it's the holy grail, but you just hit on something. You said it while I was thinking it. Is like it's this program or your bank account, your spending habits. I mean, all of those things. If you have a vision for where you want to be, having a plan to get there, the accountability, and then being able to deviate from it if things aren't going exactly your way, because we know things go wrong, and then giving ourselves grace. I mean, Amber touches on that a lot, is the grace of ourselves, that we're going to stumble, we're going to fall, things aren't always going to be 100% perfect, but having people around you that are going to show you grace, and then showing grace to yourself.
It just takes some checklist items. I sat down one of the first days, for I think third or fourth day in the COVID shutdown. I sat down, I made a list. I pulled up my credit card statement, pulled up my bank statement, and I have a lot of auto debits. I went through and I made a little list, and I saved somewhere around $600 a month. $600 a month I went back and I called my insurance company and I said, hey, I need a new quote for my home, my auto, my umbrella policies. And they did some search and they got me into a program. I didn't cut any of my premiums, but I saved almost $400, $500 right there. And I cut some other things that I was like, well, I didn't even know that was being drawn out of my account. And I'm like, do I really need that right now? Right. So credit checks, they were offering free credit checks for the next 9 months. Okay, well, let me cancel that $30 a month. And it's something that I have, right? So opportunities are all out there. You just have to do it, right? And it takes time. Like I was on the phone for 30 minutes to an hour with my insurance agent, but I was like, well, I'll get to it tomorrow. You got to get to it. Put your plan down. Here's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna make these calls and I'm gonna get to it. And you got to take some action items. So if you do that, that allows you to accomplish the goals that you set for yourself.
Awesome. Well, Raul, we thank you for generously giving of your time. Trendmaker Homes for hosting us today. As always, we'll follow up to everybody who is on the call and share some slides. I think, Raul, if you'll send us your slides, we'll get those out to everybody. So
sure thing. Yeah.
I hope you're all feeling empowered, because I know that I am motivated and inspired to go out and be different and be better. So I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you. I hope it was a good presentation for
Wonderful.
everybody. Let me know if you need anything. Take
Thanks so
care.
much. Bye-bye.
Be safe out there. Bye.
Bye-bye.